All right. Hello, everybody, and happy Mellow Sunday. So, um, I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter than I normally do. First of all, I want to explain this weekend was quite the good weekend. I took my trip up to, and like I said, every time there's a video, here comes Winky. It's not like I planned it that way. She just wants to be part of this. So, World Winky, Winky World. Everybody say hello. So anyway, I went up to Oklahoma City, take some amplifiers that I've repaired back, and talked to some people, introduced some people. Sherry went up there with me and enjoyed the day, and we made a weekend out of our time together. Um, she came back this morning, and we went to church together, and we took a trip out to Durant to see the largest steam locomotive that's running around the United States, which was very, very cool, and just made a real nice weekend out of it. So that being said, um, I did I get some very good reviews and good comments on the fact that last week I did some teaching and kind of give a little bit of an educational thing on how do we solder. And keep in mind, the stuff that I teach can be used anywhere, in any sort of situation, but it's sort of steered towards musical instruments because that's what I'm talking about. So electric guitar hardware and components and things like that. The techniques can be applied anywhere where soldering is necessary. So that the next step, I think, because people seem to like it, they seem to think that it was very educational and nice and helpful. So I think the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to continue that education. And one thing that I had mentioned in that other video was that I would show you how I showed you how to make a good solder joint, how to maintain the soldering iron, and some basics about how to solder. And the next step, I think, is to show you how to disassemble some things and what tools we use to do that and how that's done. And I was going to do that in detail today, but I'm not going to do that. The reason why is because I use a tool I'm going to show you here in a second, and I don't use the other method. There's several methods, but there's two main ones, and I don't use the other one. Personal preference. It's okay to use either way. But I wanted to get the tool on hand because I used to have one and I got rid of it. But I want to get that tool here so that I can show you its use and demonstrate the difference between the two, the benefits, the pros and cons of either method, and that sort of thing. Show you how it's used, show you what the applications are. So I should have that tool tomorrow. It's on order. It was supposed to be delivered this afternoon, but it wasn't. So I should have it tomorrow. That being said, if I do get it, I'll go ahead and do that lesson video for you at that time, and then post that, and you guys can watch that. But for right now, what I'm going to show you is this is called. Some people call it solder wick. Some people call it solder tape, and I'll try to make it not wiggle. But you see, it's a little braid. It's copper and some other things, but it's literally just a flat piece of braid. Comes in this little dispenser, and you just pull it out like that. But there's a method to use that. I'm not going to show you right now, but that is used for desoldering. It says Play-Doh wick, and it is a desoldering wick is what it is for. But anyway, that's the method that I use. Here's one with the wick exposed that I've taped up to keep it from coming apart. But that's my preferred method if I'm going to use a desoldering technique that requires proper desoldering skills. And I'm going to teach you how to use that stuff. There's a trick to it, and there's a way that you can use it right. There's also a way that you can use that and destroy what you're trying to take the solder off of, even if you're using the right tool. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Also, I'm going to show you some of Matt's methods. And in this case, I'm going to give you some of my secrets, stuff that nobody taught me, that I figured it out on my own, and stuff that is kind of unorthodox way of doing things. Doesn't hurt a thing, doesn't cause any damage to the components or anything else, but is a couple little tricks that I use to when you're dealing with things like this that are kind of a mess, and you want to reuse that component. Well, I have ways of doing that will salvage the component, and ways that will avoid using the solder wick, which in certain cases can be a little bit difficult and a little bit counterproductive. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, once I show you that using these old parts that are really not good for anything else, once I show you that, then the next step, I'm going to walk you through the practical applications of what I'm showing you. That'll be like the third or fourth video. But I'm going to make a little series out of this, and by the time we're done with the series, you as for the most of you people are musicians, some of you watching are not, but this will allow you to be able to take an electric guitar, bass, whatever the case may be, an electric instrument of some sort, take it apart, either repair it by replacing components with good components, rewire it to your own tastes, modify it, things like that. It will show you how to do that, and I will walk you through that video by video, each video being a step of that. This is one of my Bauer guitars that I have been playing. It's one of my personal guitars that I built. It's one of my handmade guitars. It's a mahogany-bodied Telecaster style guitar with a maple neck, and I built it from scratch, neck and body and all. And I'm rebuilding this guitar for some various personal reasons, but I intend to redo the tone circuitry. If you look on this, there's several components in there. For those who have an eagle eye and have done some wiring in the past, one of them is, this one is a treble bleed circuit. I am going to alter the values within that treble bleed circuit to give it a little bit more of a frequency drop off. Just my own personal thing. And the reason being is because this is one of the pickups out of that guitar, and it is a Alnico copy of a Gibson pickup. I'm going to change these pickups, and they're going to look like that, but they're going to be different. I'm going to try to use some different magnet configurations, a little bit different winding, and try to shoot for a little bit slightly different sound. So it's going to involve me changing that treble bleed circuit. Now what I'm going to do for you guys, this is okay. This works fine. There's nothing wrong with this. I want to change the value of that. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you how to do that. In the process of that, I'm going to undo all of this. I'm going to using the techniques that we learned in my video to show you how to desolder something. I'm going to completely disassemble this whole configuration right here, even though it's fine and I could reuse it just like it is. I'm going to do this for the sake of my videos. I'm going to disassemble this, alter the value of that component, reassemble it, showing you step by step how that's done and why it's done, and then I will walk you through the assembly of that into the instrument when it gets to that point. So by the end of this series, this little small series that I'm doing, you will have enough skill from what you've learned to make a good solder joint, a solid connection, take that joint apart if you need to change something, or if you're salvaging a component, you'll be able to do that and reuse the component in your new configuration. And you will know how to wire it properly so that it's solid, it doesn't make any scratchy, funky noises, it doesn't buzz when you plug the guitar in, things like that. It works like it's supposed to. And if you'll notice the size of the wire I'm using, I will go over that as well. Because believe it or not, a guitar, an electric guitar with passive electronics, which is 90% of the guitars on earth, are passive electronics, which means they have no battery in them. They are simply a electrical generating circuit. The pickup, which is that chrome one I showed you, or this one, if you look on there, it is simply a wire wrapped around a magnet a whole bunch of times, soldered to a lead, which goes through these components to an amplifier to make it louder. The motion, for anyone who understands physics and electrical theory, the motion of a nickel wound string, which nickel and steel in combination are electromagnetically sensitive. They are, Alex can tell you on the comments what the actual term of that is, but they are susceptible to magnetic fields. And when you move something that has that is susceptible to a magnetic field, has magnetic properties through a magnetic field created by this, because there's a magnet in here with a coil of wire around it. If you get relative motion between those things, you create electrical energy. It's a very small electrical energy, which is why you have to have an amplifier to make it louder. But what I'm getting at is, if you use larger components here and here, physically larger, and the larger wire and so on, to a point, after a while it becomes counterproductive because it starts to induce resistance. But if you use the proper size wire, use a little bit larger wire than what you would expect, you have more component to carry the current. If you have more component to carry the current, it puts a lesser resistance and a better current flow, and you'll get better sound. Believe it or not, it is actually been proven that that is true. So there are a lot of little tricks that make my Bauer guitars sound better than what you find on the wall at the guitar store hanging there. And what I just showed you and what I just told you was some of the reasons why that is. People plug in my guitars when they come to play on stage with me, or they come to my shop, they plug in a guitar and go, dang, wow, what's the deal? It's what I make. It's what I do. It's years of me learning all these little tricks, put them all in one pot, stir it up, come out with my guitar, and it sounds like it sounds. And people are impressed with it. And that's great, because I want them to be impressed with it. But I'm going to show you the tricks that get people impressed with that. And if you pay attention and you practice and you learn it, you can make your guitar sound like that too. And I'm okay with that, because you're going to learn something, and I'm going to feel good for letting you learn something or helping you to learn something. So that being said, this has been just a little educational lecture, I guess you could put it that way. But hopefully I'll have that tool tomorrow, and I'll be able to actually show you what I'm talking about and let you see it firsthand. And then we'll go from there. So it'll be a day off on the video, but that's okay. But like I said, this weekend has been a very nice weekend. I took a little bit of a relaxation, injected that into my weekend, and had kind of a de-stress thing going on this weekend. And I'm glad that I did that. I feel very good about it. Sherry and I enjoyed ourselves very much, and I think that was a very, very well received and very much needed de-stressing, stress-free, relaxing Sunday drive kind of weekend. And that was nice. We went Saturday to Oklahoma City, and then Sunday to Durant, and a whole lot of driving, but a whole lot of smiling, and a whole lot of really enjoying ourselves. So that was really nice. So when I do get that tool tomorrow, we'll be back on here, and we'll show you guys some real stuff about soldering skills and how you can do that and make you all better at what you're doing to try to modify your instruments. And then when people ask you how you do it, you can go, I'm not going to tell you because it's my secret. So I'll share my secrets and you keep them. So we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Bye.